Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to use the Rooted in Nature set, and it's from the annual catalogue, and it was a whole suite of things, and I was lucky enough to demonstrate this when we were at Red Deer last April, and it's remained one of my favourite sets because there's just so much you can do with it. I have made videos before with it. If you want to look back at my videos, you'll see that I had a sponged oak tree, and I've done a couple where I did notelets with them. But today I'm making a very different sort of card. And the card I'm going to make, I saw for a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, but I don't know when it actually went on to Pinterest. But I saw it on Pinterest, and it was by Jackie Bolhuis, and I don't really know what the fold's called, so I've called it a front fold or a front flap fold. And I'm going to just adapt what she made and use the Rooted in Nature set. Now, a couple of weeks ago, one lady asked me about my book, and I know I've said before, but this book is one of the things we got when we attended Onstage, and I just happened to sit at the table where it was the Grapefruit Grove colour. Other people I think got purples and greens, but this is the book that they gave us, and it has little calendar pieces in so you can map things out for the year. You can see I've got nothing happening in my year. And then what I did, it was already sort of pre-cut like this, and what I decided to do was in the last third of the book I put all my card measurements. So, and as I say, I know some of you have seen this before, but I just put in things that I've made, things that I've seen, things that I want to make. Sometimes I colour them in, sometimes I put actual card fronts in, and they're just all of my sizings, things that I've adapted to work for me. And so when I saw this front flap card, I put it in my book, and these are the sizings I'll use. A couple of them I'm tweaking just because of the size of the sentiment I want to use. So that's my sizings, and here's my card. And you'll see why it says front flap fold, because you open this little flap and then this piece folds out to use. And I thought it was such a nice shaped card. It stands really nicely, and it's just a little bit different. I've seen other demonstrators have got their copies of it on Pinterest as well. I couldn't tell you the names because I didn't click on any other links apart from Jackie's. So I think it's Jackie's original shape and everything, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if she saw it somewhere else as well. So apologies if it was your card and Jackie cased it from you. So this is the beautiful little card that we're going to make. And let me start off by showing you what we need. The first piece you need is the backing, and I've chosen Tranquil Tide because it goes with the papers for the Rooted in Nature set, or the Nature's Poem as the whole suite is called. So this piece is 5.5 by 4.25, and then you need a white piece of card. So I've used Whisper White, and I've used the thinner Whisper White, and this is cut at 11 inches by 3 and scored at 5.5, and that's going to go down the centre of our card. And then you need 2 little pieces of DSP for the sides. I wasn't sure how big these were. I couldn't work it out from Jackie's Pinterest picture. So I've cut them the length of the card, so it's 5.5 long, and I've cut them 3/4 of an inch wide. Let me just move that, and we'll start to put this card together. So you can choose which side. On my first one, I had the stripy side. So this one, I'm just going to choose the leaves. And I'm just going to glue down the side of it. Some of it's going to get covered up by the white piece in the flap part. So don't worry too much about, if it's a bit wider than you need or anything. So these are the two pieces at 3/4 by 5.5. Wasn't sure if I'd said that. And what I do on my grid paper, I'm lining it up and going in one square. So it's like 1/4 inch in. And I just line it up top and bottom, and that way I know that I've got the paper straight. Okay, so I'm going to do the same at the other side. Line it up on the 1/4 inch from the edge and make sure it lines up all the way down. There we are. You could put a whole piece of DSP behind, but it's a waste. You don't need all of that. And then I've got my white piece that's going to go down the front. You can use any glue for this. I like how Tombow keeps fibres together for longer, but I like the speed of using fast fuse on my cards as well. So all I did was I just eyeballed and thought, right, 2.5 in at that side, 2.5 squares in at that side, that'll work. And that's as near to the middle as I need it to be. Okay. Now, for the front cover, we're going to need some watercolour paper. And I've cut this at 3 by 5.5. And on Jackie's card, what she did was she put DSP on here, and then on her little flap she had a sentiment. I don't know if it was an oval or a circle, but I want my main attraction to be, instead of DSP, I want it to be a picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to watercolour this, and I've chosen mint macaron and balmy blue. And in the new stamping pads, I find it hard to squash the middle and to get ink on the inside. So what I've done is, there we go. What I've done is I've taken my water pen. Oh, I've closed it and I didn't need it closed. I need it open. Let's pop it around that way. And then I just squeezed a little dot of water in here. And I took ink from the edge of my stamp pad. You could use your ring inker and put a little bit in, but I just took a little bit off. And then just very roughly thought about where I wanted my sky to be. I didn't want it to go right to the edge of the watercolour paper. I like the look of having sort of little irregular shapes in it and not going to the very edge. And I went sort of 2/3 of the way down. And that's it. So I'm just going to get a little Kleenex. We don't need any more of this. So I'm just going to clean the inside of my box. And while I'm there, I'm going to clean the nib of my brush too. Okay, so that's all we need the blue for. And then the mint macaron is going to be our grassed area. Oh, don't need it all the way open. So I'm just going to dab some water in there. And a little bit of the green ink, just the same as I did for the sky. Put some green ink in and just carry on. If you find it isn't dark enough, pop a little bit more ink in. Or you can go and colour over it if you want. There we are. So I'll just dry my brush, pop the lid back on. I love these aqua painters for quick, simple little paintings like this. Okay, and that's all we need that ink for. Okay, so this will take a little while to dry, but once it's dry, I used this big cedar tree. I'm not quite sure what kind of cedar tree it is, whether it's cedar of Lebanon or if it has some other, like some kind of pine. I really don't know, but it's beautiful, whatever it is. So this one I'm going to put on one side to dry, and by the magic of television and videos, here it is dry, and I just took out this tree. I sort of placed it where I wanted it to go, put my back on, I actually used my Stamparatus to do it, because I knew that when you are printing on water paper, it doesn't always come out perfect the first time. It misses little bits just because of the texture of the paper. So then I stamped it with the Stamparatus, and I stamped it twice so that I had a nice black solid image. This one does have one of the dies that cuts it out as well. So if you find that you wanted to put it on DSP and you want to have it popped up, you could certainly cut it out and put little dimensionals behind it. Okay, so there's our piece that's going to go on the front. So I'm just going to attach it. It will be exactly the same size as the flap. So it's not difficult at all to line up. Just line up the top, push it down all the way to the bottom. There we go. So now you've got your flap there. And up for the little banner across the front, I needed a piece 1 inch by 5, but because of the, here it is, because of the width of the sentiment I chose, which was this one, the You Are Wonderful, it didn't quite fit on there. So instead of having it 1 inch, I cut mine at 1 1/4 inches. And the whole piece, let me see, I think I cut it at 5. Yeah, that looks about right, doesn't it? Because there's 2 squares left. So I cut it at 5, and then I got my triple banner punch out. You can certainly do this by hand. It's really not a difficult one to cut out. And I just centered it up, pushed it as far as it would go, and cut. If you don't have the triple banner punch, and you might remember I didn't have it for a long, long time, what I do is just cut down the center and then corner to corner. So that's our little piece. And then I scored this at 3/4 inch and folded it, because that's the little piece that will glue to the back of the card. And then you just need to stamp on here your sentiment. And I know I've already done that, I just don't know where I put it. Here it is. So I stamped the same sentiment, the You Are Wonderful sentiment, fold over where you scored, and that little flap is going to have the adhesive on, and that will keep it stuck onto the card. And then what I did was I sort of lined it up. I eyeballed it about where I wanted it to be. I didn't know if I wanted the bottom of the tree showing or the bottom of the grass, and I decided I liked it with the bottom of the grass. And because you've got that nice fold there, you just push it against your card, stick it down at the back, and that will give you your little flap ready to open. And then I took out the trinkets that went with this suite, the little leaves trinkets. And on this one, you'll see I used the copper one with 3 leaves because I had this orangey colour in the DSP. I think it's the Grapefruit Grove, but it just seemed to match better. Whereas this one, I don't really have any of that colour, so I think I might put a silver one on. They do come in with 2 designs. You have the single leaf and the triple leaf, and they're each in 2 colours, so you get them in the silver and the copper. That's a nice little set. So I take the silver, and then I'm going to attach it with my glue dots. And for glue dots, I always find it easier, and this is quite a big surface area, so the bigger piece on the back, I'm going to put the whole glue dot on, and another one for the side where it's a little bit bigger. But this little piece here, it's too small for a glue dot. So I take a glue dot off, roll it up like the children do a booger, and whoops, and then stick it on the back. Now, as you probably know, I'm a preschool teacher. I see a lot of boogers being rolled up. I haven't quite got the knack of it, but I'm sure my 3-year-olds have. Okay, so then I just pop this on here. And if you wanted to, you could use a little piece of twine. Now, oh, this rolled away. There was a set of twine with this, and it came in mint macaron and the Grapefruit Grove. I don't have the roll for that anymore. And then I can't remember if this was soft suede or the Sahara, but it came in the brown as well. And you got 4 rolls in the pack. Now I did look at trying to put a little bow on. Let me just take this piece off. And I made a little bow just with the twine, but on the first one it was too busy to have a bow on, so I'm not quite sure. This might be the same. Let's have a little look. Yeah, because you just can't see the little leaf shape as much. If I'd chosen the single leaf, that's really pretty with a bow on top. For the triple one, it's just a bit harder to sort of see it. Well, we can try. Let's have a try. You get nothing if you don't try. Just make it a little bit smaller, because the loops are still quite big. I did enjoy showing this set when we were at Onstage, and it really, it's not the cheapest set in the book. I think it costs about $100 for the stamps and the framelets, but it is such a great set. I'm going to do in my classes, I'm going to do a masculine class, and we're using just this one stamp set from this suite, and there are so many ideas out there for it. Right, let's have a look, see if we can get it to attach. Okay, so I've rolled it up like a little booger again, and I'm going to put it just on the stem. Pop this on there. Haven't 100% decided if we're keeping it yet. There we go. I think I like it without, so I'm going to take that off and just leave it with that. So yes, I'm thinking if I'm sending this to a man, they might not want a little bow, might they? They might just want the trinket. So there we are. Whoops, I've thrown those all over. So there's my front flap fold card. If you know the proper name of it, don't hesitate to tell me and I'll change it in my book. But here we are. So the front opens and then the flap lifts up. And I think that's quite a classic kind of a card with a very masculine picture on, if you want it to be masculine. If you want it to be feminine, you can easily just change, you know, you could keep this sentiment, but you could change one of the colours. So instead of having the Tranquil Tide, let's see, you could have the Blackberry Bliss, or you could use the Petal Pink. You could use any of these colours, and it would just make it look a little bit more feminine. I think it would be great for a note card too, and a thank you card. So there we go. That's today's offering. If you liked my video today, please think about subscribing or sharing with your friends so that they get to see what I make as well. And if you want to leave a comment, I love to read the comments and to reply to them. And it just gives me a little bit of an idea about what people are looking for. And if there's a certain card you need, always just pop that in the comments as well. And I'm really happy to have a go. And if I've got the set, I'll make a card with it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.